The horrible reality of modern slavery in the 21st century. Welcome, respected viewers and freedom fighters. Today I will try to shed light on a deeply disturbing and pervasive issue that persists in the shadows of our modern world, and that is, modern slavery. In researching one of the most pressing issues of our time, despite the strides humanity has made in various spheres, the shackles of exploitation and oppression persist, taking new and insidious forms that defy the progress we so proudly boast. In the next minutes we will delve into the depths of this dark reality, shedding light on its various forms, the methods used, and the consequences of turning a blind eye to reality. Slavery is a social and economic system in which individuals, that is us ordinary people, are labeled as slaves, treated as property and forced to perform labor or services against our will. Modern slavery is a heinous crime that takes many forms, including forced labor, human trafficking, debt bondage, and exploitation. It thrives in the shadows, hidden behind the products we consume, the clothes we wear, and the structures of our global supply chains. Slavery has historically taken various forms, ranging from slavery, where individuals were considered the legal property of others, to debt slavery, forced labor, and human trafficking. Key elements of slavery include the denial of basic human rights, the absence of personal freedom, and the coercive control exercised by slaveholders or those in positions of power. Slavery is widely condemned as a serious violation of human rights, and efforts to abolish and combat it continue at the global level. Modern slavery is a term that encompasses a range of egregious practices, from forced labor and human trafficking to debt slavery and child exploitation. It is a stain on our collective conscience, a stark reminder that even in an age of technological marvels and unprecedented connectivity, there are those who suffer under the weight of chains that are neither seen nor acknowledged. The face of modern slavery is diverse, and its victims come from all over the world. These are people who find themselves trapped in a web of coercion, manipulation, and often violence. Whether working in costumes, on construction sites, or trapped in the sex trade, their stories echo the darkest chapters of history as they unfold in the present. Welcome to my channel and yours, Channel 78. I'm excited to give you a warm welcome to my corner of the internet where Channel 78 will do its best to keep your attention. Whether you are a long-time subscriber or just stumbled upon the channel, I am truly delighted to have you here today. I will do my best to provide you with beautiful and interesting content. Before we dive into the exciting content I have prepared for you, I want to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to all of you, and I also want to extend a warm welcome to all the new viewers who have just discovered the Channel 78. You are in the right place. Welcome to Channel 78. This channel isn't just about content, it's about building a community of wonderful people who share a passion for the truth. I love to hear from you, so write your thoughts, comments, and suggestions in the comments section below each video. This channel is as much yours as it is mine, and I can't wait to embark on this incredible journey together. Modern slavery manifests itself in various forms, and perpetrators often use manipulative tactics to control and exploit their victims. Slavery is historically associated with war situations and continues to be a tragic consequence of armed conflicts in various parts of the world. During war, individuals can become victims of forced labor, sexual exploitation, and various forms of slavery due to the breakdown of social structures, displacement, and exploitation of vulnerable populations. Armed conflicts often result in widespread sexual violence, including human trafficking and the exploitation of individuals, especially women and girls. This can include forced prostitution, sexual slavery, and other forms of gender-based violence. The recruitment and use of child soldiers is a particularly troubling aspect of forced servitude during wartime. Children are often abducted or forced to join armed groups, where they may be forced to participate in combat, serve as porters, or perform other dangerous tasks.
Control methods are physical violence and coercion. Perpetrators of modern slavery often resort to physical violence, creating an atmosphere of fear to ensure compliance. The threat of harm or actual physical abuse is a powerful tool for subjugating victims. The brutal enforcement of control creates an atmosphere of terror, making it difficult for victims to escape or seek help. Economic exploitation and debt slavery. Exploiting economic vulnerability, modern slaveholders entrap individuals into debt slavery. By promising employment or help, they trap victims in a cycle of debt, making escape almost impossible. Victims may be forced to work to pay off the debt, which is often an eternal cycle of debt that keeps them in a state of humiliation, with little hope of ever repaying what they owe. In many cases, individuals fall victim to modern slavery due to economic desperation. Debt slavery is a form of exploitation where people, unable to repay their debt, are forced to work as a means of repayment. The cycle of debt can be intergenerational, with families passing the burden from one generation to the next. Cumulates with an excessively high interest rate. This insidious form of exploitation is brought about by our politicians, and thus introduces the debtors and their heirs into debt. Modern slavery and locks individuals in a perpetual state of slavery. Manipulation and psychological abuse. Psychological tactics, including manipulation and emotional abuse, break down the mental resilience of victims. This emotional submission can be just as powerful as physical restraints. Perpetrators may use tactics such as burning property, emotional manipulation, and threats against family members to break down victims' mental resilience and maintain control over them. Control over finances. With the help of politicians, the perpetrators, namely banks or loan sharks, often exercise control over the finances of their victims. This may include withholding wages, imposing unreasonable penalties, or creating economic dependencies that make it nearly impossible for victims to break free from their exploitative situations. Threats to the family. Perpetrators may use threats against the well-being of victims' family members to secure compliance. This tactic exploits the deep emotional ties individuals have with their families, forcing them to suffer exploitation out of fear for the safety of their loved ones. Human trafficking. In the dark underworld of human trafficking, victims are often tricked or kidnapped and forced into various forms of exploitation, including forced labor and sexual slavery. Consequences of non-compliance. Failure to adhere to anti-slavery laws and regulations perpetuates human suffering, undermines human rights, and contributes to a cycle of exploitation. Let's explore the consequences of turning a blind eye to the laws put in place to destroy modern slavery.
1. Prolonged human suffering. Noncompliance allows the continuation of massive human rights violations, subjecting victims to prolonged suffering, physical harm and emotional trauma. 2. Erosion of human dignity. Disregarding anti-slavery laws erodes the basic principles of human dignity. Victims are treated as commodities, not as individuals with inherent rights. These laws are in place to protect individuals from exploitation, ensuring that every person is treated with respect and secures the basic rights to which they are entitled. Disrespect contributes to a culture of impunity, where the powerful exploit the vulnerable without fear of consequences. 3. A threat to global stability. The presence of modern slavery contributes to social unrest and can escalate into broader threats to global stability. Transnational criminal networks involved in human trafficking often take advantage of weak governance structures. This not only exacerbates social unrest in the affected regions, but also poses a threat to global stability, as criminal enterprises thrive in environments where law enforcement is weak or non-existent, and in our country it is an example that the law does not work equally for everyone. 4. Reduced public trust. Governments that fail to enforce anti-slavery laws risk a decline in public trust, and in our country trust is minimal. When citizens realize that the authorities are unwilling or unable to deal with severe violations of human rights, trust in the judicial system and the rule of law decreases, and this is quite noticeable. This erosion of trust can have wider societal implications, fueling cynicism and undermining the social contract between citizens and government. 5. International condemnation. Failure to comply with anti-slavery laws can lead to condemnation on and from the international stage. The global community, including other nations, international organizations and advocacy groups, can criticize and isolate entities that neglect their responsibility to fight modern slavery. This may result in diplomatic tensions, trade restrictions, and other consequences that affect the geopolitical position of entities that do not meet the conditions. In conclusion, the battle against modern slavery requires our collective vigilance, compassion, and commitment to justice. As we contemplate the reality of modern slavery, we must face the uncomfortable truth that chains of oppression persist into the 21st century. But let this awareness not paralyze us with despair. Instead, let it mobilize us into action. By understanding its various forms and the consequences of non-compliance, we can actively contribute to unraveling the chains that bind millions around the world. Stand with us in the fight against modern slavery, because in unity we find the strength to bring lasting change. Together, we can be catalysts for change, breaking down the walls of silence and indifference that allow modern slavery to thrive. Therefore, let us stand united against this evil of today, ensuring that the light of justice dispels the shadows of exploitation and frees every victim. Thank you for being part of this wonderful community. I hope you enjoyed the video and the theme. If so, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the amazing content coming your way. Your support means a lot to the channel and is what keeps this channel thriving. Remember, this is not just my channel, it's our community. Your comments, suggestions, and enthusiasm fuel the creative fire, and I am so grateful to have each of you on this journey. If you want a video on a topic, feel free to write in the comments, and I will do my best to make a video on that topic as soon as possible.